Hello there, welcome back to my channel. This is Louise from Louise's Lifestyle, and today we're going to look at growing piper beetle or beetle leaf Paan in the UK, or if you're not in the UK, in Europe. So this is mainly for people who are trying to grow this plant indoors in the northern sort of climate. Basically, back in 2013, I struggled to find anyone who was growing it. I think at that point I was the only one who had a beetle leaf plant in the UK. I did reach out to many people, lots of tropical plant, enthusiasts, asking anybody was growing it. I looked on eBay to see if anybody was selling a plant. I did come across one chap back then who was putting a picture up on eBay, and it looked like a generic picture of the beetle leaf growing in its natural environment, say somewhere like in India. And I asked him if he'd got a picture of the plants that he was selling, the actual picture, not the generic one, and he declined my question, never answered, and then shortly afterwards he took that off eBay, and it didn't say that he'd sold it, so I think that was a bit of a con, to be honest with you. And then I came across somebody else who said that they were selling piper beetle, but in fact when I looked at the picture closely, the leaves did not look the same. It didn't have a vining habit, it was more of a bush. And I asked that person if they could show me a picture of the actual plant a bit close up and of the roots, and they also declined, so never got to the bottom of that. So as far as I knew, when I got my beetle leaf plant, my brother-in-law, my husband's brother-in-law I should say, brought it over from Bangladesh. That was the only one probably in the UK that was being grown. So like I said, I did reach out to people who were selling plants, looked on the internet, couldn't find anybody who was selling one. Finally, I got the plant to grow quite healthily, and I did a video back in 2018. I'll see if I can put a little picture up of that video, and it was on a channel then that I just started, and it wasn't very well filmed, to be honest with you, so the quality isn't great, but you can see the plant's quite a big plant. The leaves got pretty big on it, but sadly I lost that plant back in January 2020. For some reason, it might have been the age of the plant. I've taken lots of cuttings from it and sold lots of cuttings, so there should be more people with beetle leaf plants now. I'm not saying solely because I've sold them to them, but I think people have cottoned on and are bringing in their own plants now. However, I've reached out to many people on the internet to say, if you're growing beetle leaf, please get in contact, tell me what you're doing with your plants. Have you got any problems with yours, or have you got any tips for growing yours? And I've not had a great response, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why that is. Pretty sure there are people growing it and maybe growing it really well, but I've not had anybody come back to me and say, hey, I'm growing it too, and exchange some tips on how to keep the plants healthy. But anyway, I get back to the plants that I've got here. Those of you who've already subscribed to my channel and follow my plant journey, back in July I think it was, I got a whole load of beetle leaf plants from Sri Lanka, but I had a bit of a disaster and I did a video on that. So if you're new to my channel and haven't seen it, it's the beetle leaf disaster video, and you'll see what happened to the plants there. So none of those survived, spoiler alert. So then I got some more plants, and I've got two of the surviving plants here. And these plants, I got one in November and one in, one beginning of November, one at the end of November. And I'll show you one of them is doing really well. It's actually outgrown the pot. So this is the plant. You can see it's got lots of new growth on here and here. And if I bring it a bit closer down there, you might be able to see, I'm not sure if you can see, down there there's little growth shoots coming out here. Got new leaf there. Now, funny enough, here, the main stem had 2 new leaves on it, and when I checked on them the other day, they just fell off. I wasn't sure. They were bright green like these. They looked healthy. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe I knocked it, but there were 2 new leaves there as well. But the reason for this string is to hold this, you know, in place, because the stick doesn't go into the pot. I didn't want the stick to damage the roots. But if you look closely, you can see, I've got sellotape around it as well. You can see the roots in there. That's the beauty of these pots, you can see what's going on. And also the roots are starting to come right down to the bottom. So I thought today I would do a repot of this. So I will repot that. I'll just show you the other one. So that was the one that I got second, and this is the one I got first. Now this has 2 growth stems, and I'm not sure if that's why it's not as fast growing as that one. So if you compare the 2, that one's taller than this one here. This one here is, with the bright green leaves on it, is taller than that one. But this one has 2 growth stems. Let me just show you. So you've got one stem here, and then you've got the other stem there. And also on these stems as well, they have got their own little shoots branching off. So you've got that's going up that way, and then you've got this one here. Then you've got 1, 2, 3 on this one. So you've got a branch going off that way, and I think this one, not doing much at the moment, but there's definitely 2 on this as well. So this is more bushier. The roots on this aren't as vigorous as that one. Can't really see a lot going on there, but you know, it's still growing. So I'm not going to repot this one yet. I don't see the need, because the roots, it must be getting whatever it needs in this pot. But that one definitely needs a repot. Whilst we're on the subject of betel leaf is part of the Piper family, and if you follow my channel, you'll know that I grow Piper nigrum. So I thought I'd just show you. This is one of the cuttings of my Piper nigrum, the parent plant I got back in 2018 that had big peppercorns on it. So this is a cutting of it, and I think it's got a little bit of aphid issue on it. But this is one I have downstairs. I have another one in my grow tent upstairs, which you may have seen if you had a look at that video of my grow tent. So this cutting is doing pretty well. I did an exchange with someone who was growing this Piper nigrum. So this is a betel leaf plant, although it looks very much like these 2. So the chap was growing this betel leaf plant. Sorry, not betel leaf, this is a Piper nigrum. So he was growing this as a Piper nigrum, and I said, oh, that looks different from my Piper nigrum. So I did a swap with him. I sent him one of these in the post. I've got 3 of these, well I've got 2 now. Sent him one of mine, and he in exchange sent me this one, and this is growing pretty well. This is also in my grow tent upstairs. I have it leaning against the back part because it's a little bit wobbly, but it's growing really well. It's very similar to these 2. I'll just move the other piper nigrum out of the shot there. It's very similar to these, but they are part of the same family. This will produce little peppercorns eventually, hopefully, if it's given the right conditions. Betel leaf, I've never seen them produce anything. In all the years I had mine, at least 7 years I had mine, never produced any kind of, like, call them influences or catkins. They're like little tubes. They don't flower as in the sense of a flower opening up. They're sort of like a long cylinder type of thing. So similar to the peppercorn, but they do produce them, I think, in their native climate, but I've never seen mine produce them on. So that's the piper nigrum. So I'm going to take the piper beetle out, so I'll just move that out of the way there and pop that there. So what I've got is some coir compost, and I will add some vermicompost to that because it needs feeding, and I'll just remove it from this pot and then you can see what the roots actually look like. Just cut this sellotape off. Now I'm going to have to cut the threads on here because I've got it attached to that pole there, and see if I can remove this pole. Yep. Bit of a mess here. Cut that off. Now people might be thinking, why don't you just stick the pole in the soil? As I said, I don't really want to damage the roots by that, because if it moves about, then obviously it's touching the roots, and it could damage them and introduce rot. There it is. So betel leaf is typically floppy. It's a vine. It doesn't support itself. So you can tell the difference between this and Piper sarmentosum, the Thai betel leaf. So Thai betel leaf doesn't really need support. It just, if you plant it, it will grow, and it tends to sort of like put out leaves that way, and it has more of a bushy, upright habit. Whereas this vine, if I left it, it would probably trail and will creep along the ground if it doesn't have anything to climb up against. But if it finds something to climb up against, like a tree or a bush or side of a house, it will cling on to that. So let's take the plant out of the pot. Let's see what. See if I can use one of these tools. Just so that it's not right. Okay. So I'm just inspecting the roots. They're nice and white. Don't know if you can tell there. They're nice and white. That's how they should be. They shouldn't be brown. So as far as I can see, these roots are healthy and doing well. So I've got a bigger pot for them, and hopefully that will accelerate the growth in it. So I'm going to use the soil that was already in there. I'm not going to waste that. So put that soil back in. So if you can see what I'm doing there. Oops, daisy. Pop that there. I've just got some more compost off camera here, which I'd used in another plant pot, which I never got round to. I tried a plant in it and literally had to take it out, so I kept that compost, and you know, there's no point in wasting. Nothing wrong with reusing compost as long as it's not diseased, or you know, it's not got bugs in it. So I've got some more of this coir. We'll put some of that in there. And what I'm doing is shaking out some of the air pockets in there and allowing the roots to have enough soil around them. We've got vermicompost or mega worm. This is the brand that I'm using. I've had this bag for ages. There's lots in there, so you don't need to use a lot, just a sprinkle. So for this pot here, I've just added that much. You know, you don't need to overdo it. And maybe in a couple of months' time I'll add a bit more, as it's, you know, absorbing those nutrients. So basically what you just need to add coir compost, vermicompost together, mix it up, and there you go. You've got a good you know, compost, potting compost for your house plants. And it's easier to use coir, I say, because lightweight, you can order it, you know, it gets delivered in the post. You're not having to trek to the garden centre and lug heavy bags of compost everywhere. And then you've got to find the space to put them somewhere, these bags, before you use them. Whereas a coir brick, I can just leave it, you know, put it in a shelf, and then just break off the amount that I want to use, put it in a bucket of water, and then it expands. So it's much easier, and I think they are, you know, they're taken from sustainable places, because coconut fibre is a byproduct of harvesting coconuts, and as far as I know, they're not an endangered thing like, say, peat compost, which is, peat is taken from the peat bogs and takes, you know, thousands of years for that to break down. And so they really say that you shouldn't be using peat-based compost, but coir is much, you know, much more environmentally friendly, I think, anyway. So that's the betel leaf plant. If anybody else is growing betel leaf out there in the UK, please comment below. Tell me what your experiences are. You know, are you having problems with yours, or is yours going great, and you know, you want to share your knowledge with us, you know, those of us who are may have been struggling. I've had my ups and downs with betel leaf plants, you'll have seen in the other videos. So, you know, none of us are perfect at growing these things. So it'd be nice to share if you can. Reach out and say hello, fellow betel leaf growers, and hope, you know, if you've not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, and hope to see you soon. So thank you all for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.